What is a trust? Basically, it's its own entity that you, the individual, you are the beneficiary. And just to be very clear, each property you have should be in its own individual LLC. As an investor, your investments and your properties will outlive you as an individual. So if you don't have a trust set up and something happens to you, God forbid, your properties will get lost in probate court and it's just a mess. You don't want to get all caught up in all that. Okay guys, today we're going to talk about legal structure. Okay, it's one of the most important things in real estate. As an entrepreneur, as a real estate investor, you have to protect yourself and your assets. All right, so we're going to start from the top. So at the top of your legal structure, you should have a trust. Okay, what is a trust? Basically, it's its own entity that you, the individual, you are the beneficiary. So what's a beneficiary? Basically, you're not the owner of the trust, you're just the beneficiary of the trust, meaning you get all the benefits of the trust. Power of attorney, you get everything involved, the money, everything with the trust. Basically, you're in full control of this thing. Now, your trust is gonna hold what's called a holding company. So your holding company, mine is in Wyoming. It's very important, it's just an LLC, but it's a holding company in Wyoming. It's very important that you do it in either Wyoming or Delaware, because those are some of the only two states that will allow you to have a registered agent where you're not tied to the entity at all. So nobody knows who owns this company. It's just owned by a trust somewhere. And then beneath your holding company, then you have your properties. You have property A, property B, property C, whatever. So you have your Alabama property, you have your Florida property, you have your Texas property. Okay, these properties are owned by their own LLC, which means you, if you get sued for some reason in life for whatever, you don't own any of this. You're just in control of a company that owns everything you've built over the years. So it's important that you get this built right the first time, because this LLC can go buy your property. So whenever you're under contract, Ray Butler is not buying the deal. My LLC is. I'm just the signer on the deal. And just to be very clear, each property you have should be in its own individual LLC. So let's just say you have 5 properties. Okay, we're gonna do 5 LLCs. So you got Alabama, Florida, Texas, Texas, Texas. So each property has their own LLC, meaning if something happens within one property, the only thing that's at risk is that subject property. That's it. So if the house burns down because of a faulty electrical, that's okay. That LLC is the only thing, or that house is the only thing inside of that LLC. So you don't have 10 houses in that one LLC, because then they could pierce the corporate veil and take all 10 of your houses. So to set up a trust, it's pretty important that you do that off rip. It costs anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 depending on how many LLCs and holding companies and stuff that you have or you want to have. But it's so worth it, because your trust will outlive you, but so will your properties. The thing you need to understand is, as an investor, your investments and your properties will outlive you as an individual. So if you don't have a trust set up and something happens to you, God forbid, your properties will get lost in probate court and it's just a mess. You don't want to get all caught up in all that. So it's very important that you get this set up sooner rather than later. You can build this all yourself, or you can get a company to do it for you. I trust Prime Corporate Services, so I'm actually going to go ahead and drop a link so you guys can go ahead and schedule a free one-on-one consultation just to see if it fits for you.